All right, guys, what we're going to do is go through the January 2020 exam that I gave you near the end of school, and I'm going to do it in sections. So we're going to start with some of the multiple choice questions. So I want to take a look at the first one. Now, this is a question I can guarantee we're going to see where they want to know which of these is equivalent to him. So I'm going to do it two ways. The correct mathematical way and the way you could check yourself, or where most of you will probably do it the other way. But let's take a look at this. Everything under the radical is got to get the fourth root. So I'm going to do, that's 81. So I'm going to write it here, 81. So the fourth root would be 1/4, right? Then x, now remember flower power, it's power over root. So I'm going to do 8/4. Y would be 6/4. All right, so then I'm going to do each of these separately. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to do 81 raised to the 1/4 power. Oops. So I'm going to do alpha y equals 1/4. It's a 3. So the 81 turns into a 3. 8/4 just is a 2, which is x squared, right? And 6/4, if you reduce that, makes 3/2. And if you notice, what I got matches choice A. So the first one would be choice A. Now, other ways of doing it, plug in 3 for x, 4 for y. So if I do that, I'm going to do the fourth root. We're going to do 81, 3 to the 8, 4 to the 6, right? So I'm going to go to my calculator again, right? I'm actually going to turn this light on so it's a little brighter. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Oh, actually, that makes a bad glare, so I'm going to turn that off. So I'm going to do math with the math button. I'm going to go down to number 5. I'm going to put a little 4 in the corner. 81. Going to plug in a 3 raised to the 8, arrow over 4 raised to the 6. And that gives me 216. So this came out to be 216. So then I'm going to go to choice 1. Now if I check it, if I put 3 in for x and 4 in for y, we should be getting the same exact answer, 216. Right? Now, if you're only going to do it the plug-in way, I always recommend plugging into all of them so you can compare your answers. You have, oops, oh no, it was correct. You plug in to all of them so you can compare, okay? And when I did that, you could see how I got 3888. When I plugged 3 and 4 into this one, I got 648. And when I plugged 3 and 4 into this one, I got 11,664. So you could see A was the only one that matched. So very safe way of doing it if you only do it that way. But that is the correct way in case it shows up as a 2-pointer. All right, let's move on to number 2. Chet has $1,200 invested in a bank account modeled by this function, where P of n is the amount of dollars after n months. All right, so this is how much money Chet has. Chet has debts modeled by this equation, Q of n equals 11n, when Q of n is the value of debt after n months. So notice they're both months. That's good. All right. After n months, which represents his net worth, which means how much does he totally have? Well, that means it's all the money you have minus how much you owe. So how much does he have? He's got 1,200, 1.002 to the n. So that's how much he has. Take away how much he owes. All right, and if you see, that's the same thing as choice C. All right, so that question really had nothing to do. All right, next one, number 3. Emmeline is working on one side of a polynomial identity proof. All right, her work is shown. Okay. Which statement is true? All right, so we have to go through and see if she made any mistakes. So if I take a look at this, I want to square both of these. Now notice, this one doesn't have any plus or minus signs, so all I have to do is just square both of those. So if I square both of those, I get a 25 and an x squared. And keep the plus sign. So I'm going to actually do that in a different color. Plus. Now, notice this square, there's a plus or minus sign in there. So that means you have to write the parenthesis twice. All right. All right. And then I have to distribute over here. So I would bring down 25x squared plus, and now I'm going to start distributing this. So this guy times this guy makes 25x to the fourth. This guy times this guy makes minus 25x squared, right? Minus 25x squared plus 25, right? So now I've got 25x squared plus, and then when we put all this together, I've got 25x to the fourth minus 50x squared plus 25. So look at this line, right? And look at this line. Those are not the same. So look at this, see, there's the 25x squared. That's correct so far. But this should have been here. So step 2, there's issues in step 2. So now we know choice A is wrong. Her work is not entirely correct. But there's definitely a problem in step 2, right? Now, this point, let's work from here. So if they added those together, okay, that's correct. Okay, bring that down. Ooh, but we can't add those together and get 75, so that's a problem too. So there's actually a couple of mistakes here, both in step 2 and step 4. So that should have been choice C for that one. All right, so that was the first couple of questions. I'm going to flip it over now. Let's take a look back here, number 4. Okay, Susan won $2,000 and invested in an account with an annual interest rate of 3.2%. Her interest was compounded monthly. All right, so that means we have to think monthly means we're bringing in the number 12. Which expression best represents the investment after T years? All right, so we always start with the original amount of money, which is $2,000. So I'm going to write that down first. Then we always put a parenthesis and a plus sign. So now we have to decide if we're going to put a plus or a minus. Well, anytime they're talking about interest, it's always a plus. Okay? Now, we got to take our percent. 3.2%. We've got to move that decimal point twice. So 1, 2. So that's the same thing as 0.032. Okay. And now the compounded part comes here. So it's always divided by the number, and then whatever number you put here, you're also putting there with a time. All right. So now we got to figure out which of these means the same thing. Well, definitely not D. Okay. And definitely not C. And look at the exponents here. It's definitely not this guy. So you're asking probably, well, that doesn't match that. But it does, watch, if you do, let me clear out, 0.032 divided by 12, that's where that decimal comes from. So that's going to be choice A. Okay, for number 4. All right, next one. Consider the end behavior description below. So let's take a look at what this is saying. As x is going to negative infinity, so that is to the left. So this means left. So as we're going to the left, y is going to positive infinity. That means up. All right, so let's look at these two pictures first. Over here on the left, are these going up? No, they're not. So we're going to cross those off to begin with. Now, we're going to look at this in our graphing calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals, plug in x to the fourth, plus 2x squared, plus 1. All right, and then I'm going to hit zoom 6. All right, so over here to the left, is it going up? Yes, it is. All right, so that's definitely in play. All right, And then underneath that, I'm going to put the other one. Negative x raised to the third plus 2x minus 6. So let's graph that too. All right. All right. Over here to the left, it's also going up. So right now, both A and C are still in play. Let's look at the next part of this question, right? As x is going to positive infinity, this means to the right. So as we are going to the right, y is negative infinity means down there. All right, so look at the blue one. As we're going to the right, is that going down? No, it's not. So it is not choice A. So that means it's got to be choice C. So if you guys see things like that, that means x arrow means to the right, negative infinity means left, x arrow positive infinity means right, and the other ones mean up or down. All right, so that's the first 5 questions. So let's take a look now at number 6. Let me slide this down a little bit. All right. Which expression is equivalent here? All right, so what I want you to do here is just to plug in, I would plug in 3 for x and 4 for a and see which ones match, right? So I'm going to do x equals 3 and a equals 4, and let's see what we get. Parentheses, 3 plus 4 squared plus 5, 3 plus 4 plus 4. And I'm getting 88 when I do that. All right, so I'm going to go and plug that in now. So now I'm going to plug in 4, a is 4, 4 plus 1, 4 plus 4. Nope, that's 40. Right, so that's not it. Try B. We're going to plug that in. So 3 plus 1, 3 plus 4, 28. That's a no, right? So let's try this one now. 3 plus 4 plus 1, 3 plus 4 plus 4, 88. All right, that's looking like it. But gonna try this one just in case. So we got, now here's the deal. If you get 2 of them that come out to be the same answer, you always want to pick the choice that's simplified more or smaller. 64. All right, so as you can see, choice C matched. Next one. All right, we can do this one 2 different ways. You could plug in 3 and then see which choices match up. I'm actually going to do this the correct way in case it shows up on the 2-pointer part, which is going to do synthetic division. So negative 2 goes in the box, right? Now be careful you're not missing any, right? Because if you are, you're going to have to put a 0 in, but 2, 1, 0, we're good. So I'm going to put a 2 here, a 5, and an 8. Draw a line, okay? First number comes down. Multiply, which makes negative 4. So that makes a 1. Multiply, negative 2. Add down. Last guy goes in a box. So now, notice the first question started with an x squared. So when I write the answer here, it means it's going to be 2x to the first plus 1x. That's a positive 6. So you're going to put a plus 6 over what you divided by. And do we see that choice up there? Oop, actually, I made a boo-boo on this. There shouldn't be an x on that. That's x. That's our x. That's there. So it's going to be this one right here, choice C. All right, now, you can also check it by plugging in 3. So let's show you that, right? Alpha y equals 2, 3 squared plus 5 times 3 plus 8 all over 3 plus 2. All right, I got 41 over 5. So look, I'm going to plug in choice 1 here. Right? Nope, that didn't match, right? Choice 2. That didn't match, right? So this one should be matching here. So we're going to do 2, 3 plus 1. Yay, look at that. So that confirms it. All right, so 2 different ways of doing it. You're in the gym for 3 hours. You have plenty of time to both do it and check it. Why not do both? Okay, next one. Which situation best describes a conditional probability? You see that word conditional? That means it's the given, all right? So we're looking for the one that says given. Find the probability, find the probability, find the probability of 2 events, find the probability, oh, there it is, given, choice D. That's all there is to that question. So you need to know, if they say the word conditional, it means they're looking for the given. All right, this guy, which is not a solution to this. So I'm going to put this in the graphing calculator. I'm going to put this side into y1 and that side into y2. Okay. So I'm going to clear out what's already in there. So I'm going to do 2 raised to the x, and then I'm going to do radical 10, right? And then do zoom 6. I'm going to get a fresh new window. All right, so I have to find the intersection point. So I'm going to do second trace, 5 for intersect, kind of walk over there. And I'm going to hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So it's 1.66. I'm going to write that whole thing down. 1.660964. So I'm looking for which of these choices now makes the same thing. So I'm going to clear all this out. So I'm going to do alpha y equals 1/2. Now notice the little baby 2. So that means I'm going to hit the math button. I'm going to go up the log base, put a 2 there, and then a 10. All right. And if you take a look at this, 1/2 log base 2. So I need to find which one is not the same, actually, for this question. So that matched. So that's not it. So we want to find which choice is not the same. So let's try this one now. Math. Put a 2 there. Radical 10. Oh, that matched 2, so that's not it. Math. 4, 10. Oh, that matched 2. So it's got to be the last one, right? We're going to hit math. 10. Oop, 10, 4. Oh, and that one did not match. So it's going to be choice D. Okay. Let's see here. Flip the page over. Number 10. Okay. What is the solution set? So we're going to do this one 2 ways, right? The quick way, if it's multiple choice, is to plug in the choices and see if it works, right? So choice 1, I'm plugging in -5 equals radical 3 -5 plus 40. So I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. A radical can never equal a negative. So I know this isn't going to work. So -5 is no good. All right, now that I know that, notice this has a negative. So does this guy. So that's going to be no good, right? So the question is, does 8 work? Okay, so I'm going to do 8 equals, I'm going to put this in my calculator. Second radical, it was 3 8 plus 40. Hey, we got 8. They match, so it checks, so it's going to be choice B. Now remember, empty brackets mean no solution. That means nothing worked. Okay, now, what if it wasn't a multiple choice question? All right, because it could pop up on the free response. So let's start this question again. It's x equals radical 3x plus 40. So if it shows up on the part 2, what you're going to do is square both sides. And now that makes x squared. When you square a radical, it goes away. Now, you always want to set your x squares equal to 0, but you want your x squared to be positive. So I'm going to subtract the 3x over and subtract the 40 over. So now that makes x squared minus 3x minus 40 equals 0. Okay? And then I'm going to factor this guy. 2 parentheses, x and x. Okay? If it ends in a minus sign, the signs are different. Now, what are all the things that multiply to be 40? 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8, right? And which one can make a 3? Okay? The bigger number goes with the first sign. So that would be 8 and 5. Then you set each piece equal to 0. This would make x equals 8, and then x equals -5. And this is where you'd still have to do the check. And once again, when you do the check, the radical can't be equal to a negative. And if you put it in your calculator, you're going to see that if you forgot that, watch what happens. I get +5. Those don't match, so it does not check. Right? But then we already saw that 8 does. So this is what you would do if it was a free response question instead of a multiple choice. All right, next one. Now I'm seeing a table. And before I do anything, I know I'm going to need the totals. So I'm going to do that first. Total. And I'm going to do a total here. All right, so we're going to add this stuff up. So I'm going to do 87 plus 89. That's 176. All right, so I'm going to put 176 here. And then 13 plus 11, which is 24. Okay. And then I'm going to do 176 plus 24. That makes 200 here. All right, now I'm going to check it with the other way. 87 plus 13 is 100. 89 plus 11 is 100. Now, if you did it right, they should add up to be the same number, which they do. All right, now I'm going to read the question. What is the probability that a randomly selected person is male given they're left-handed? So we want to find the probability they are male given. I'm going to put L for left-handed. All right, so the probability formula for that is the probability of M and L all over the probability of the second one, which is L. Okay, so how many males are left-handed at the same time? So males and left-handed. 13. Now remember, probability is always a fraction, so it's 13 out of 200. So it's going to be 13 out of 200 all over. Now, how many total kids are left-handed? 24 out of 200. All right, now there's 2 ways of doing this, okay? You could put that in your calculator, alpha y equals 20, 13's first, 13 over 200. Alpha y equals 24 over 200, which is 13 over 24, okay? Or what I usually like to do when I see a situation like this, I'm going to put it over here. I like to do keep, change, flip. Watch, 13 over 200 times, flip over the second one. Then the 200s cancel. See, we get the same answer. There you go. So it's 13 over 24, which is choice D. All right, we're going to do 2 more. Then I'm going to take a break before we move on to the second half. All right, next one. Okay. The function n can be used to predict the temperature of a cup of hot chocolate in degrees after X minutes. What is the approximate average rate of change of the temperature of the hot chocolate? All right, average rate of change. Definitely getting this question. Average rate of change, right, means slope. So we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in order to do slope, you need 2 points. The interval they give you, these are the x's. So I'm going to make an x of 0 and an x of 6. Now we have to get these points. So what I'm going to do is put this equation in y equals and get the table. So I'm going to do 90.86 to the x plus 69. Okay, then I'm going to go to the table, and I need 0, which is right there. So that's 159. And go down to 6, which is 105.41. Okay. So now I'm going to label these. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to plug them into that formula. So it's 105.41 minus 159 all over 6 minus 0. And now I'm going to put that in my calculator. And I'm getting negative 0.893. So it's going to be choice A. Right? Definitely going to get this question either in the multiple choice or the free response. This is the exact work you would show if it's a free response question. All right. And the last one, and then we're going to take a pause. Okay. A recursive formula for the sequence 40, 30. Okay. First red flag is the word recursion. Recursion or recursive means there needs to be 2 parts of my answer. A only has 1 part, so I'm going to cross that off. And C only has 1 part, so I'm going to cross that off. Now you're down to at least a 50-50 guess, okay? Now, G1 should always be the first number in the list, and both of those have 40 listed. Now, you have to find the pattern. All this means is you subtract 10 from number to number. So here, I subtract 10, that worked there, but if I subtract 10 here, do I get that? No, so that's not right. Okay, now let's talk about this guy. To have a fraction, it means you're dividing, so check this out. If I do 30 divided by 40, that reduces to be 3/4. Let's do 22.5 over 30. Okay, let me put that in my calculator, see what we get. Oh, 0.75. Guess what 0.75 is the same as 3/4, and that's why this one has a 3/4 in front of him. D. All right, so that's basically the first half of the multiple choice. I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to record the second half of the multiple choice separately.